Bruce Lee renewed the manner in which martial arts were practiced, trying to be functional in an area when most students and teachers practiced techniques without having tested them in real situations. After this change, Bruce Lee realized that sticking to one method was limiting and not efficient. He thus concluded that the superiority of one technique depended on the moment and the distance of its application. The solution was the development of techniques that would be efficient from every distance and the work on the transitions between them. These experiments and trainings resulted in Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. So Jeet Kune Do was invented in 1967, but was constantly changed until the end of his life in 1973. Bruce Lee made only 3 people certificate instructors: Taki Kimura, James Lee, who died, and Dan Inosanto. Dan Inosanto continued his research in different styles, and particularly the Kali and the Silat, preserving Bruce Lee's technical and philosophical heritage. One can decompose the Chun Fan Jeet Kune Do, Chun Fan was Bruce Lee's Chinese name, into 4 sections, every one of them corresponding to a distinct distance. The Chun Fan kickboxing, influenced by Savate and certain styles from the north of China, the boxing, influenced by English boxing, Chun Fan Kung Fu, influenced by Wing Chun, which Bruce Lee had learned at Hong Kong with Master Gipman, the grappling, influenced by Chinese Shina, Judo and wrestling. So Jeet Kune Do is at the same time an impressive combat system and the whole lot of components looking for efficiency and realism. The goal is to be efficient from every distance, with and without weapons, in every situation. In this cassette we try to see the different distances of combat and the passages from one to the other and their applications in self-defense. Bob Breen, one of the principal teachers, will show you superior exercises and self-defense techniques. Bob Breen started martial arts in 1976 with Karate Wado Ryu with Suzuki Sensei. He has coached the English team, which was the first one that beat the Japanese in 1974. Not satisfied with the Japanese way of martial arts, he turned to boxing and combat on the ground. He was one of the first to practice full contact in the UK. In 1979 he welcomed for the first time Dan Inosanto in England. From this date on he has been an internal student of Dan Inosanto in Kali and Jeet Kune Do, for which he is one of the rare instructors throughout the world. Bob is considered as one of the grandfathers of Jeet Kune Do in Europe. Many people, Dan Inosanto included, think him one of the greatest experts in defense against knives and close combat. I thank you to this cassette. The 4 combat distances. Human beings have natural weapons: fists, the head, the elbows, the feet. Every weapon is effective in a particular distance. Thus combat is a row of changing distances. The long distance. Now take Buji, circular kick of the leg in front, on knee level, training the poke into the eye. Jitek, Wide Choi, Beat Choi, side kick, backside with the fist, direct hit with the fist. Now take, Wide Choi, now Choi, now take. Circular kick, backhand fist, box, circular kick. Block on a low attack, come up in Gua Choi, hit with a fist. The lower tag can be a trick. Block the lower tag, go on with BG, poke into the eye, block also, Pak Sao, direct hit with the blocking arm. Lower tag followed by a poke into the eyes, Chun Choi, box with the arm behind. Go down, come up in order to provoke a block, now tag, circular kick. Gua Choi reverse, pin Choi, direct hit with a fist behind. Dynamic application of the techniques like attacks. Short trappling distance. When the tag with the fists are blocked and the forearms met, we either come back to leg distance or we continue breaking the distance, immobilizing the partner's forearms. This is trapping distance. In this short distance, the work on sensation and pressure is very important. The different reactions will depend on the partner's way of blocking. Pak Soi Dai, Bloy Pak Soi Da. The partner blocks on the central line, Pak Sao on the blocking arm, maintaining the pressure on the other elbow with the arm. Complete exercise beginning with now tag, circular kick. Pak Sao Da, the adversary blocks in the central line, So Cao, cutting the throat. Noi Pak Sao Da. Pak Sao Da, the adversary blocks in the central line, Chun Choi, hit with a fist behind. Loi Pak Sao Da, always remember to maintain the pressure. Pak Sao Da, at the same moment the adversary continues with a direct hit with the fist on the other arm. Block Tan Sao Da, hit simultaneously, Jian Sao, hit with the inside of the hand on the throat. Pak Sao, the adversary blocks outside the central line. Blob Sao, Sot Sao, grab the blocking arm, cut on the throat. Pak Sao, the adversary goes out of the central line, BOG, poke into the eyes, Glob Sao. Pak Sao, the adversary blocks, coming out of the central line, BOG followed by Pak Sao on the same arm. Pak Sao, the adversary blocks, coming out of the central line, lift the elbow, hit now Choi. Pak Sao, BOG, Blob Sao, BOG. Pak Sao, poke into the eyes, Blob Sao, poke into the eyes. Direct Blob Sao, tear his arm and hit at the same time. Pak Sao, Blob Sao, Pak Sao. The first Pak Sao can be a trick. Application of the techniques as attacks. Close combat Pak Sao Da, Loi Pak Sao Da. Continue your first Pak Sao with the inside of your hand on his chin in order to turn his head, take to the ground, hit. The same technique, but finish strangling. Pak Sao Da, Loi Pak Sao Da, hit with your elbow to close the distance, unroll, push the shoulder, grip his wrist, strangle or screw. The same technique, but with a projection and a screw on the ground. Glop Sao, screw on the elbow in extension, control on the ground with the knee on his shoulder. Glop Sao, unroll the arm, get to the ground pushing on the shoulder. Screw on the wrist, then take that way. Pak Sao, the adversary blocks, moving out of the central line, hit into body, grab the legs, get to the ground, screw on the ankle. Same technique, grab his legs, turn over, screw on the ankle. Glop Sao, screw on the shoulder and the elbow, called figure 4. Take to the ground, screw on the shoulder on the ground, blocking the arm beneath the elbow, hit with the elbow, screw. Pak Sao, the adversary blocks moving out of the central line. Lop Sao, So Sao, cutting on the throat. Figure 4 screw. Screw on the wrist, controlling the neck with the knee. The same technique, but finished with a screw of the Juji Gatami style. Same technique, but with a different elbow lock. Another variety of shoulder lock. Remember to put your leg on his throat in order to avoid the adversary's turning around. Another lock, but the other way around. Place your leg over the upper body to avoid him turning. Pak Sao Da, Lop Sao, cut on the throat, unroll the arm and slide, putting all your weight on his shoulder. Shoulder lock or elbow lock. Application of the techniques, attack style. On left-right, block and hit simultaneously on the throat and roll his arm and destabilize. Still on left-right, block, uppercut, direct and roll, screw on the elbow and roll, lock on the wrist. Left-right, block, poke the throat and roll, kick with the knee. The same technique, but with an elbow lock. On left-right, blob sow, pak sow. Same technique with another lock on the arm. Move, kick into the genitals, take the arm, strangle and project. Pak sow, glob sow, control the arm, lock on the arm. Kick into the genitals, poke into the eyes, pak sow, glob sow, lock on the wrist and the shoulder, lock on the elbow. Poke into the eyes, pak sow, hit with the head, poke into the eyes. Pak sow reverse, hit with the elbow. Pak sow, glob sow, figure 4, pak sow, glob sow, arm lock. Move backwards in reverse, pak sao with the head. Jiao sao, strangling. The adversary attacks with pak sao, Bob blocks, the adversary continues with blob sao, Bob blocks with a lock. Bob attacks with pak sao, the adversary blocks, Bob continues with a lock on the wrist. Pak sao, BOG, straight blast, continue with the fist. Lao sao, straight blast, continue with the fist. Yao sao, straight blast, move away, pin choi, direct blast with the arm behind. Applications in self-defense. Work on the bear pause, invented by Bruce Lee in the 70s. It allows to work the strength and the precisions of the blast. Interview with Bob Breen.
Hi, I'm Bob Breen. I've been training in martial arts now since 1967. I started at that time in traditional karate, Wadaru. I trained in that. I was captain of the England team and fought in international competitions. And I also trained in Tokyo in other arts, Aikido, Goju-Kai, Shotokan, lots of different styles. And then, but I was unhappy with that. And we, at that time, in about 1974, 75, we were doing lots of English boxing and also judo, and then doing a combination of kickboxing, boxing, and so to an extent we were doing our own Jeet Kune Do in a way early on. And then about that time I heard about Bruce Lee, and I was interested in him as a person. I thought he was amazing. And then I was in contact at that time with Dan Inosanto in LA, and I asked him if he would come to England, and that was in 1979. I heard from him, and he said, yes, I will come to England and teach for you. So I trained with him in 1979, in April 79, and that was an evening which changed my entire life. Up until that time, I'd always been unhappy with the martial arts that I practiced. Always a bit unhappy. I'd heard the stories, but the people I saw weren't as good as the things I heard. And then when I saw Dan Inosanto, he was amazing. He did everything. He'd fight with sticks, fight with knives, fight with empty hands. It was incredible. And he could alter, he could change, from empty hands to stick. So I thought he was just amazing. So from that time on, I changed. I changed from teaching karate, kickboxing, full contact, into only doing Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts as well. Yeah? And really, it's altered how I train. At that time, I had a big school, and when I changed to Jeet Kune Do, I went from many people down to hardly any, because people didn't understand at that time Jeet Kune Do, but now everyone understands the principle. I teach both Bruce Lee's art of Jun Fan, Kung Fu, and the Filipino martial arts, but I use them as a way to understand Jeet Kune Do, which is about principles, about functionality, being a functional martial artist, a functional fighter. So we use everything. We use the four ranges. So we punch, kick, lock, throw, everything. Everything's in. There isn't anything that's out. And so that's what I do to the present day. I teach people all over the world. Here in France, I have a student, Eric Laulagnet, who's one of my top students, and that's why I'm here helping him to do this video.
Afin de tester l'efficacité des coups portés, et cela sans risque pour les pratiquants, Éric Laulagnet et son assistant s'équipent maintenant d'un casque renforcé à armature d'acier et avec des gants aussi, afin de ne pas prendre de coups sur les mains. Éric Laulagnet et le Kali Eskrima. Merci le Kali Eskrima.
When Bruce Lee did a demonstration in San Francisco in 1969 in front of an audience of experts and interested people, the world of martial arts discovered the little dragon. Bruce Lee changed the concepts of classical combat and got his system into the world thanks to his success in his movies. Throughout Operation Dragon, his best-known film, Bruce Lee renovated the Oriental and Occidental tendencies thanks to his personality and his research on combat. Jeet Kune Do was born. Today it is taught in France by Éric Laulagnet. Jeet Kune Do is based on efficiency. In a more general manner, it is based on self-defense, like all martial arts. But it is not a sport. The aim of Jeet Kune Do is also to bring its own personality into martial arts. It's looking for what will work best for you. In the line, second, I come in and poke at the throat. Control, I turn the head in order to avoid the blast with the head. And I go down, exercising pressure on the arm, control the head, arm lock, wrist lock. It's taught as a whole, and this is a good thing too. As it is a system, there's a logic for the whole. This allows to keep a line from one technique to the next. At least more easy than in judo with the projections on one side and boxing on the other. These would be two different systems. The basic principle of Jeet Kune Do is to use all the distances in combat and to work the transitions between those different distances. Jeet Kune Do is more of a system than a martial art. One might say that Jeet Kune Do is a whole of principles. We call the system to arrive at these principles June Fan Kung Fu. It was the Wing Chun that Bruce Lee changed. He also brought in a lot of techniques from kickboxing. Jeet Kune Do is more of a whole of concepts. It is a constant evolution. One of Bruce Lee's principal disciples, an American with Philippine origins, Dan Santo, is one of the last to teach Jeet Kune Do. He mixes it with Kali, the Philippine bat. Oftentimes, Jeet Kune Do is confounded with Kali. In reality, Kali, the Philippine martial art, and the Jeet Kune Do are oftentimes taught together because Dano Santo himself teaches them together, because all of the concepts and basic principle of Jeet Kune Do can be found in Kali. Moreover, the work with weapons is specific to Kali. One might say that no other martial art has a system for weapons this precise and efficient as Kali. Jeet Kune Do is not Bruce Lee's martial art. It is a global concept and a link between the styles of combat. The people who practice discover its merits after long and thorough studies. In the beginning, I had a lot of students that came from other martial arts and came for this research of fluidity and the global concept of combat. Now a lot of people come from the martial art. They are beginners. They're interested in Jeet Kune Do. Oftentimes they're attracted by the name Bruce Lee. But then they discover that there are other things than Bruce Lee. This is a very interesting practice after all. Poke into the eyes, block, I enter. 1, 2, that's it. A martial art developed in the science of self-defense is surely not to be given to everybody. Eric Laulagnet keeps this in mind when teaching. He chooses his students on a physical basis but also on a psychological one. The role of the teacher is very important. The teacher is responsible for his students afterwards. This means that he will show techniques that might be dangerous. If the explication and the verbal explanations are responsible, there should not be a problem normally. The Martial Arts Festival in Bercy in 1993 gave homage to Bruce Lee, who died 20 years ago under very mysterious conditions. His art survived and still carries his breath and his energy today.